Hello, welcome to Around the NBA Playoff Edition, presented by the Ultimate Sports Show. I'm the host this evening, Aaron, joined by Manny and Matthew, and our special guest, Billy, as well, one of my good friends. Medina couldn't make it tonight, guys. Western Conference Finals is a wrap. Clippers get eliminated 130 to 103. Guys, what a series it's been. Obviously, we know it's been full of injuries this whole playoffs. Both sides, obviously started with Chris Paul earlier on, and then Kawhi Leonard, Serge Ibaka for the Clippers as well, and Zubac didn't play in the last two games as well. But honestly, guys, props. I got to give props to the Clippers here, Manny. I mean, they played great. I give them congratulations here because they made it to somewhere they have never been. They escaped the second round, which has been their big hangover of getting there. So mad props to the Clippers for getting there. And honestly, I thought this game was going to be close tonight, guys. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that, Aaron. Props to the Clippers. The fact that they played without Kawhi Leonard, they were able to steal a game 5. People were thinking, are they going to pull a 3-1 comeback? But it didn't work for them. They got eliminated, but obviously there's props for them because they did so much. And also shout out to Paul George, the fact that he gets ridiculed on NBA Twitter. I'll admit I'm a victim of that. I do that as well. And he actually played very well in this series. He ended up getting some 40-point games, some 20-point games, some 30-point games, and he looked really, really well. He was able to shoot very well. He wasn't basically that pandemic P that he was the other playoffs. Tonight he did shoot 1 for 6 from 3, but he did shoot 6 for 15 from the field, which is actually not the worst. And he did get 9 rebounds. So obviously he was using that because he is primarily a wing, so he was able to get those boards pretty easy, in my opinion, which was very nice. But there's also another guy on the Clippers that plays really, really well in these playoffs, and that's Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson has been shooting the ball incredibly well. And if I'm the Clippers, I want to bring back this guy because he actually shot very well in the playoffs, and he was a very key player to them. I would say he was their second best player in these playoffs after Kawhi went down. And then also Marcus Morris, as much as us Laker fans like to tease him and say Keith is the better guy because he's on the Lakers, but he actually played very well tonight. He had 26 points and 9 rebounds. And, he didn't really shoot the ball very well, but he was very active on the court. But then there's also an up-and-coming, young stud on the Clippers in Terrence Mann. And we all know about his brother because his brother is going to get drafted this year in the NBA. So that family has a lot of talent. And then also DeMarcus Cousins. I don't know if you guys saw before, me and Aaron and Matthew were doing a Twitter Spaces. And we were talking about Boogie Cousins saying that, it's been over 2 years that he hasn't been healthy because of his torn ACL. And for the first time, he's actually looked really, really well since his Pelicans days when he was with Anthony Davis. But obviously, shout out to the Phoenix Suns. They go to their first NBA Finals since 1993. 20 years too long. Something... hate to throw a little shade, but something that Steve Nash couldn't do with them. Chris Paul in his first season with the Phoenix Suns, he ends up doing really, really well. Remember, he was an MVP candidate in the regular season, and he showed up in these playoffs with 41 points and 8 assists. And also, listen to how crazy the stat line is, you guys. 7 for 8 from the 3-point line. That is absolutely absurd. What is this? Steph Curry on the court? 7 for 8 from 3? And then another guy who actually showed up because I want to get into obviously Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, obviously, but I also want to talk about Jay Crowder. In the first quarter at the start of this game, he was heating up. And he actually heated up the entire game. He shot 5 for 9 from 3, 6 for 11 from the field, 19 points, 5 rebounds. He looked really, really good. And then, obviously, what's there to say about Devin Booker? What, on book? 22 points, 7 rebounds. I mean, he didn't shoot well from three, but you can't have a good shooting night every night. Like in the NBA, it's obviously a make or miss league. You're not obviously going to have like these crazy percentages that you have every night. But then obviously there's another guy, and I was actually criticizing him a little bit, DeAndre Ayton, because I was saying on our last show that I wanted to see more aggression for him because the Clippers can go inside and they can score, and I want to see him actually guard the paint like he usually does. And he did really, really well at that sideline, you guys. 16 points and 17 boards. He literally looked like Clint Capella did for the Hawks this year in the playoffs, which is actually very impressive. Obviously, shout out to the Phoenix Suns. I'm incredibly happy for Chris Paul because, as an NBA fan, I obviously wanted to see him make it to the NBA Finals because we know talent-wise, he is definitely, without a doubt, a top 10 point guard of all time.
So I'll start off first. Congrats to the Phoenix Suns. As Aaron and Manny will say it, the Clippers got clipped. It's a shame to see the results after a great season. The way I look at it is, number one, I'm not trying to bash any team here, but the Clippers eliminated the best team in the NBA, being the Utah Jazz. They played excellent basketball at a time where they really needed to throughout the season, and they just fell short. I don't like what was going on with Kawhi. I don't know fully. I don't think anybody knows fully what's going on. My opinion is, if he's on the court sitting there, he should have been playing. It's a win or go home scenario. You give it all and you put it all out on the court at all times. So I'm not a fan of that. Wouldn't be surprised, and I'm going to throw this out there. I wouldn't be surprised if his name is involved with the trade. I really wouldn't. Potentially a Lillard for Kawhi. Maybe one day. I don't know, guys. We'll break that down. But you know what? Great season for the Clippers. Congrats to the Phoenix Suns. Congrats to Chris Paul, and much respect for Chris Paul. Telling him that his family is still part of the Clippers, blah, blah, blah. And mad props. And you know what? I think this is going to be the least watched NBA Finals out of the history of the NBA Finals. I'll be curious to see on our next Around the NBA show when we break down the Hawks and the Bucks to see what happens, especially with Giannis out. So, Billy, floor is yours.
I'm going to be real short. I was talking to my dad earlier, and we're like, okay, Terrence Mann is the second coming of Jeremy Lin. Not a chance. I thought Terrence Mann was going to show up big today. I thought Paul George is going to show up big today. It didn't happen. Everybody has their off nights. Congratulations to the Suns. I think they deserve it. Yeah, can't take away nothing from them.
Yeah, I mean, it's they played great. Manny and I were talking about this in the last game. Clippers showed up and they flat out beat Phoenix on their court. I mean, they literally they couldn't miss. The Clippers were great from three. They hit everything. I feel like in this series, like I was, the last few minutes, the last probably 10 minutes of the fourth quarter, Clippers really just relied a little bit more on their threes. And if your threes aren't falling, Matthew's been telling me, the Clippers are more of a mid-range team. Like, they don't take that many three-pointers a game. If they take them and they're wide open, it's either you're red hot or you're just going to be ice cold. I think Clippers kind of got a little carried away there in the fourth quarter. The game was close. I mean, look, they were up. I think Phoenix was up by 15 at one point. Clippers trimmed it down, got it within single digits, and then all of a sudden kept relying on the threes instead of easy twos. They could have gone after the paint. They could have done mismatches. I feel like the Clippers didn't take enough advantage of that, didn't take enough shots in the paint. I think that would have kept them in the game, and I honestly thought this could have been a lot closer.
For example, look at when the Clippers were going at Crowder. They got him in foul trouble, 4 fouls. To be honest with you, the veteran Paul George, Marcus Morris Sr., they should have been going straight at Booker, straight at Crowder, straight at Ayton. They should have been going straight at the basket, get them in foul trouble. Once you get them in foul trouble and they have to stand there like this and not put their hands up, easy buckets. The Clippers have never been known to be a three-point shooting team. Either have the Lakers been. I say to Aaron and I praise to Aaron. Why are the Lakers shooting three-pointers? Why? I said the same thing when we were sitting at dinner tonight watching the end of the Clippers game. Why shoot the three? Go to the basket, throw it down, and get them put a potential three-point plan of foul that they can't guard. Why shoot the threes? When they fell down and down and down and they're not hitting their threes, that's when you say, change the offense, go inside out, play an inside out, old school, old-fashioned basketball game. Sorry, Manny, go ahead.
And there's something I want to add about that for the threes. Like, I'm glad you brought that up, Matthew, the fact that the Lakers, too, aren't known for that.
Right.
That's what me and Aaron and Medina talk about every single show that we do pregame and postgame.
Yeah.
But just an example on the threes. The Clippers only shot 30% from the three. And that I agree with you guys. That's what killed them. That's what, in my opinion, what made them lose. They trimmed it down to 9 points in the third quarter. Yeah. And I was watching. I'm like, damn, are the Clippers actually going to come back? But then they actually relied too much on the three. As I talked about Marcus Morris, that they had 26 points. He shot 4 for 11 from the 3-point line. Like, I don't know what Marcus Morris thinks he is. Like, he's a power forward. Power forwards are not known for shooting the three ball. They're not known for that. I don't know why he's taking 11 shots from the 3-point line. Like obviously I'm not a Clipper fan, but like I'm sure Matthew and Billy, I'm sure you guys were watching Marcus Morris do that, and you're like probably screaming at your TV like, what the hell are you doing? But I guess stuff happens. And then even Paul George, like this guy literally went from playoff P to pandemic P, shooting 1 for 6. Like, if you're only making 1 3 out of like 6 attempts, a little tip I have for you, Paul George, if you're actually watching, stop shooting the 3 ball. That's what I do every time I see, like, for example, Dennis Schroeder or anyone else on the Lakers, Alex Caruso, shoot too many threes. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, obviously I'm not a Clipper fan, but like, I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, what are you doing? It's the same stuff that we do that they're doing. It's like, it boggles my mind. Like, I don't know why the NBA is so fixated on shooting threes. Like, not everybody has to be like a Steph Curry or a Damian Lillard that you just want to shoot threes all the time. Like, there's other things that happen in the NBA. I feel like if they would have taken 2-point shots and drove to the lane, I think this game would have been a lot closer than it already was, in my opinion.
Go ahead, Billy.
So the problem is, when you get dubbed the best 3-point shooters in the game, they think they have to shoot it. That's their mentality. And the problem is, the whole game, you could do easy layups and get the foul, but the problem is they're missing all the fouls. They're missing all their free throws too. They're making like what, 30% of them, which is pretty pathetic in my opinion, because it's an easy shot.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's
honestly, go ahead, Matthew.
I was going to say, let's not forget about the famous inbound play to end, what was it, Game 3?
Yeah.
Game 3.
Again, if the Clippers would have played appropriate defense and blocked the inbound play from happening, this would be Phoenix up 3-2.
Or Game 4, but
Yep.
what is it? Batum got the ball and it went out of bounds. They didn't review it. We would have got that too.
So, you know what?
I will give you guys that. The officiating was not great for you guys. I'll give you that.
The whole series.
Is bad, really bad. Now, what I will chime in with really quick, what happened at the end of the game with Boogie Cousins shoving Chris Paul, bad for the sport, bad for the team. Yes, Phoenix is a dirty team, but it makes the Clippers look like they're playing dirty as well. So I do not support that, and I do not think that was right, or it's a bad image for the Clippers.
I don't think he'll come back.
I don't know. It's just, you don't do that. I get it. You're frustrated. You're not getting your calls. It's a bad officiating crew that was out there, but you do not do that.
Yeah. I just
what
feel
about Patrick
like
Beverley? What he did?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Devin
I mean,
Booker.
that-
Yeah.
I'm sorry guys if I'm interrupting, but like one thing I
Oh,
gotta
you're
say
good.
about that is
Yeah.
the fact that like I find he's so two-faced, Patrick Beverly, and I'll tell you why I say that. He can dish it out, but he can't take it. He talks and talks and talks, and like I remember when the Warriors missed the playoffs last year, and he's like, Steph, you had those 5 years, the next 5 years are mine. Now that you're upset, you're gonna go shove players and do stupid stuff like that. Like
You're not wrong.
Patrick Beverly, if you're watching this, grow the hell up. You're a grown man. You're playing in the NBA. Act like it. Stop acting like a 12-year-old kid.
You got to make smart decisions, especially, Matthew and I were kind of looking at each other too, because I'm like, what just happened? Like, it looked like they were about to break to go to a timeout, and then all of a sudden you see you start seeing a brawl happening, and it says, okay, well, what happened? And you look at the replay, and Chris Paul is just walking away, and literally Patrick Beverly just pushed him. I mean, not inadvertently. Like, if you're going to accidentally hit somebody on the way back, that's a different story because it says, my bad. But, I mean, you just don't go pushing someone because you're frustrated and you just want to start something, because you get thrown out of the game. Honestly, if I'm a Clippers fan here, guys, I'm sure you guys aren't happy about seeing, that could have been his last game right there as a Clipper. You never know what's going to happen to him. And that was how he left. Like, that is his reputation on how he goes out as a Clipper. I think he should have handled himself better and controlled his emotions a little bit more intact.
As an NBA fan, not a Clippers fan, it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth for anything.
Yeah.
My question for you guys is now, obviously with the Clippers, with that season done and the Clippers, going home, who do the Clippers pursue in the offseason? What kind of trades do you think that they make? Do you think that they're buyers, sellers? Who do you think they're going to go after? And how many big pieces do you think that they need to get in order to make it through the conference finals into the NBA finals?
I think another Kawhi Leonard. Not him. He's probably out also. So trade him for someone big.
Who would you go?
It wouldn't be Damian Lillard. I just looked it up. He has like 3 years left on his contract, I think. But I think it says James Harden. I think it says like Kevin Durant. And I think it says Westbrook for next season. So any one of them would be good. But it also says Steph Curry, but I doubt it.
Do you think about it? What do you think about the potential of a sign and trade?
Yeah, that could happen too.
I think anybody that's not obviously has a no trade clause, blah blah blah, in their contract. I think anybody's available. And Steve Ballmer, being the great owner that he is, that we have now with the Clippers, he might just go out and spend some money and make something happen. You don't know.
You never know. I think if the Clippers are not aggressive in the offseason and actually pursue some, or at least attempt to pursue some guys. I mean, it depends on, everybody's going to take offers. Everybody's going to listen. It's not going to be an automatic yes for anybody. I think the Clippers need another shooter. If things were a little bit better in Kawhi's situation, there might have been a chance, depending on, I think it also has to do with some other behind the scenes stuff of maybe just the way, not only on the medical side of things, but just the way that the teams has handled things and the way his minutes have been. Maybe his relationship with Ty Lue wasn't great, wasn't terrific. If it was completely the opposite and he had a great relationship and he already said, like, I'm not going anywhere, I'm gonna enjoy free agency and then I'm gonna sign a bigger deal with the Clippers in the offseason, that's a whole different story. Then you're adding one extra guy, because then they have Leonard, they have George, they have Ibaka when he's healthy as well. That makes a huge difference for you guys. Serge Ibaka is a great center. I mean, he's still can do what he could do. He's not that old. He just got the bite of the injuries, and I think that's something we also have to address as well. A lot of star players, everybody this year has been affected by injuries, and it's really taken a toll on this NBA season. It's just not fun. No matter who you're a fan of, it doesn't matter. Like Billy says, you're a fan of the game. You don't want to see these guys go out. You don't want to see Giannis gets hurt yesterday in the Atlanta series. we don't know if he's going to play in that series as well tomorrow. It's just other players have been affected. Trae Young as well. And, it's just unfortunately, it's also part of the lack of the season, that how shortened season it was. The offseason, getting into it, some teams got affected by it, some teams did not. But these teams, primarily that were in the playoffs, all got canned with injuries. And, obviously, guys, the most important thing I wanted to see, at least in the playoffs, is nobody else get injured. And, it's just unfortunate because you didn't get the whole for this series of the Clippers and the Suns. I wanted to see a full healthy Clippers squad going against a full healthy Phoenix squad. I mean, that is what I thought was honestly going to go Game 7, completely hold the whole Game 7 series. Manny and I were talking about this. Then we said, look, injuries are just costing these series to be shortened. That's all it's doing for this game. And I think it's giving players now more of a vengeance to say, look, next season we're going to come back stronger. Obviously, LeBron won his ankle. Anthony Davis, his whole body just recovering from his injuries. Kawhi Leonard, Serge Ibaka as well, Zubac. These guys all that have been affected by it. Kevin Durant, Harden. The list goes on. And obviously, even going in the next season as well, I just want to see a healthy team. Obviously, I'm still throwing it out there, man. I want to see, there is a chance next year, if both sides are healthy, Clippers and the Lakers playing each other in the playoffs. I think that's still an open-minded series, and I think, obviously, that's great for both teams because, obviously, no travel involved. Obviously, that'll be great for LA, and, obviously, it'll be nice to see both teams at 100%.
But in my opinion, there's one person at fault, and that's Adam Silver.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know if you guys saw our last show and I said it, but I'm gonna say it again. Adam Silver is a big time at fault because like it's not only because me as a Laker fan, but it's also for the Heat fans as well. 72 days of rest. Like how does that give players time to chill and be with their families? Because keep in mind they haven't seen their families in 3 months. Because of the bubble, and they have to rush and start the season in December. They should have started in February and reduced it to at least a 45-50 game season. If that would have happened, I guarantee you there wouldn't have been as many injuries. And I'm sure LeBron is part of the Players Association, and is also a big part of the Players Association, which is Chris Paul. He's I think the president of the whole thing. Yep. So I'm sure he has something to say. 100%. I know his Suns are making the finals and he's happy about that, but I'm sure he's going to talk to the Players Association and say, Adam Silver, you messed up big time this season for doing that, because now a lot of people are going on Twitter saying that this is a Mickey Mouse playoffs because of all the injuries. I can't say I don't agree with those people on Twitter that are saying that, because with all these injuries, I'm not very happy as a fan. I wanted to see a healthy Giannis, a healthy Trae Young compete, but we don't know if Giannis is going to be playing. We don't know if Trae Young is going to be at 100%. I wanted to see that series go all the distance at 7, but Aaron, you were even telling me that now it won't even go to 6 games because of the injuries that are going on with those teams. So, Adam Silver, you messed up. I'm sorry. I want to be nice, but you really screwed up big time this season. You should have made it a shorter season.
Also, I think I would like to see, one thing I'd like to see change is the expanded playoffs. I don't like those. Look what it did. Who knows? It puts more miles on your legs, causes more injuries, leads to more injuries. The expanded playoffs. I'm sorry, if you ain't in 1 through 8, you don't make the playoffs.
Thank you.
You don't make the playoffs. If you are not good enough to place seed 1 through 8, you're out.
Facts.
So, yeah, you know what? The Lakers got lucky. They placed number 7, right? But still, this whole thing where 10 plays something and 8 plays this, and it takes away from the game. And you know what? It puts more miles on the legs, more miles on, and it's just now you have to rebound from an extra series that you normally would never have to play. So, you know what? I'd love to see that thing change. But yes, Adam Silver is at fault. he said, you know what, we can get more money if we start before Christmas Day than we would if we started in January. It's all for money. So the whole sport is about money. And it should have been about the players and about the sport rather than about money.
Thank you. We've all been saying that.
Yeah.
So one thing I would definitely like to see that change for next year. Conventional 82 game season, normal playoff rounds 1 through 8 on the East and 1 through 8 on the West, and may the two teams prevail, whoever the two teams are.
Exactly.
It's all because of the rushed season.
Yep.
They rushed it and people got injured. That's all you can say.
That's exactly what happened.
Lack of rest.
Everybody thought, and I mean, yes, I'm a big time Clipper fan. I thought in the NBA Finals it was going to be the Lakers and Brooklyn.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We all did.
The battle of the West, the battle of the East. I honestly didn't think the Clippers were going to make it as far as they did. But
well, that was the shocker. The Nets got blown out. That was the biggest shocker of the whole season.
And right then and there, you knew something was not right about this year. Short. You know, it's a shorter off season, short rest for the Lakers, short rest for the Heat, and look at the two teams that went out, Lakers and the Heat, right off the bat.
First round.
Potentially like the best ones in the league. Oh my God,
Yeah,
this is
right.
just ridiculous.
I mean, shoot, the Clippers got a break. You know, the Clippers.
Yeah.
Yes, they could have been the 3 seed. Yes, they could have done that. But you know what? They weren't. It didn't. The seeding really didn't make a difference because look what happened. They still beat the number 1 team in the NBA. Any way you look at it, you can place 1 through 8 and still go to, and the 8th place team can go to the NBA Finals. That's the beauty of this sport. So about seeding and everybody bashing the Clippers for laying down and not getting the number 3 seed because they wouldn't have to face the Lakers. Whatever. I still think that the Clippers would have had the Lakers number regardless. The Lakers didn't know how to play together. Drummond didn't know how to play with Davis. LeBron didn't know how to play with Drummond. They all looked like they were all lost out there on the court. So you know what? I'm ready for a full off season of rest. I'm ready for October, Halloween, around Halloween night. NBA used to open on Halloween way back when. I'm ready for a full NBA season. Everybody healthy, and let's see what happens.
Hey, you know, I think that's what we all can agree on. Before we wrap up the show tonight, guys, let's preview a little bit of tomorrow. Game 5 series is tied between the Hawks and the Bucks. What do you guys expect from this series? You know, obviously, we don't know what Trae Young's going to play. We don't know. We don't honestly know. I mean, everything's kind of up in the air right now. You know, they're down. You know, yes, they have some injuries. Obviously, they've had Capella here and there, but obviously, your former Clippers, Lou Williams, Sweet Lou, has been playing great for them. I've always felt like, you know, no matter where he goes, he's gonna make an impact on this team. He's made an impact with Atlanta. Do you guys think right now? I mean, honestly, do we think Atlanta is gonna end up closing this out, and it's gonna be Atlanta and Phoenix, or do you think somehow Milwaukee actually gets this done? Because obviously they still have pieces. I mean, they don't have Giannis. They rely on Chris Middleton. I mean, the dude was absolute laser locked on those threes. What do you guys think?
If Chris Middleton can shoot the 3, it's over. But he, like we've all been saying, they're all gassed at this point. So it could go either way tomorrow. Who knows?
I think the Bucks are done. That's just me.
In my opinion, the Bucks will win that series if their supporting cast plays like they care. Because they didn't have. Remember, Trae Young didn't play, and they still took an L. So that was concerning for them. If their supporting cast doesn't play great, the Hawks will finish them in 6. If they actually play like they care, and Chris Middleton takes on that leadership role like he did that entire playoffs, because he's been playing extremely well, Chris Middleton. Like I was critiquing Chris Middleton a little bit before the playoffs because I'm like, I don't know if I see the Bucks going very far in the playoffs just because I don't know if Chris Middleton can be that durable second guy next to Giannis, but he's been shooting great from the three, and he has been scoring pretty high in the point department. So I think the Bucks can do it if they actually play like they care about going to the finals. But if they don't, I think the Hawks finish them in 6. And Kevin Herter does what he does. John Collins does what he does, and Clint Capella obviously has been playing great as well in the playoffs. Hawks are deep. We all, I think we're all like shocked that the Hawks that they're playing really well. But don't forget, a 5 seed made it to the finals last year, so don't be surprised if the Hawks make it again this year.
Aaron, what do you think?
I think honestly, if Giannis isn't in the picture for them at all, I think it's going to be on Middleton and the whole rest of the team to help them out. I mean, I think that's the only way. I think it could go 7, but that's a team like, you know, we've been saying it the whole year, the whole basketball season is saying, look, it's a team mentality. You can't have one guy trying to carry the load. The other 4 guys that you're playing with, everybody has to. It's a collective effort here. So, you know, if Atlanta has their guys come out on fire, they have a full healthy team, and Trae Young ends up playing, which looks like he would probably play tomorrow. We don't know yet. But if Milwaukee comes out and their guys are firing, I mean, they have power, they have scoring, their defense is great. They could still play great without Giannis. I mean, they're very capable of doing it. It's going to change the mentality of how their ball moves. It's not going to go through him as much. But if they could create scoring, get other guys involved, you never know. I mean, Milwaukee, you know, a lot of people have been saying Milwaukee's going to close this out. This is their time. They were supposed to go last year, but obviously they got beat out to the Heat. So, you know, obviously it's kind of up in the air right now. I think if Milwaukee gets it done, they get it done. I think if Atlanta comes out and they're fully healthy, I think they're going to get the edge over Milwaukee, guys.
I agree.
Yeah. That's going to do it for us for tonight, for Around the NBA Playoff Edition. Thanks again for Billy for joining us today. Appreciate it. And as always, our sound guy, Matthew, as well. Sticking by for Manny, Medina, and myself. I'm Aaron, guys. You guys have a good night, and we'll catch you tomorrow for Around the NBA to close out the Atlanta and Milwaukee Game 5 series. Good night, guys.
Peace.